I started filming and it was like literally like a blooper. I don't feel like that was the best video to put out there. Grand Rising, good morning, hi, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whatever time of the day it is that you see this. I hope all is well with you. Hope everyone had a happy new day, because at this point I've just kind of written New Year's off. It's literally just another day, like a reset, recycle, whatever you want to call it. I've just come on here to talk about a few things in terms of not to scare anyone, but to be real with people, because a lot of people are jumping on things because it's in, it's fashionable, it's hype, it's trendy, it's this, that, whatever word you want to call it or use it. But the problem is people actually are opening themselves up to a certain type of world, and they don't actually really know what they're opening themselves up to. And what's crazy is that it's crazy because it's like when you put it out there, like say for example you say, oh, I want to be a blah blah blah, you get a taste for it, because there would be someone there that kind of aligns with you and you get a taste for it. Or like say for example you're like, tomorrow I want to be a pilot, right? There might be someone that can kind of arrange that for you, or that kind of puts that on your path, if that makes sense, right? So when you really put it out there and you really open yourself up to a certain type of world, then if you don't actually really know what you're doing, it can come back to you, or it can backfire, or this or that, and blah blah blah, right? And I think that with the energy work and a lot of things that people are doing, they're not actually really and I catch myself slipping. Like sometimes I miss a part out of my, I'm not going to say ritual, I don't really like using those kind of words, but like there's certain things that I miss out sometimes because I just jump into it, I get into it, and I'm just like, oh, I'm protected, I'm this, that, blah blah blah. But there are certain things that you have to do in order to, and sometimes you hear it niggling at the back of your mind, but you're just like, nah, it's just my mind playing tricks on me, or no, but it's actually like, no, you've missed that part out, so blah blah blah. Like little things as well, because I don't really have people come to visit me, but when I do, they notice things. Like for example, there was one time that someone was leaving my house, they were like, you didn't burn any incense. And it's just like, why is this person saying that? Why are they saying, oh, you didn't burn any incense? But then it kind of brought me to that the person knows how I am, and maybe that's why that person came to my house, or maybe that person's aware, or people know these things. You don't have to hide things. You can, with people who read energy and who are very tapped in, you don't have to hide yourself. Like you can actually just be yourself and present yourself at how you actually are, because at the end of the day we are all wearing masks. And like, I know that a lot of people on COVID hype and whatever, I'm not really talking about that, I don't want to talk about that, but we are all wearing masks. And so when you read energy, it's a bit difficult to continue to wear the mask, because obviously you are also exposing yourself to other people. So it is a thing of, you really have to be careful who you're reading for, who you're allowing into your space, and really trust your instinct. This is for people who, because I know that there's a lot of people that follow my page who are aspiring to be tarot readers, but I think that a lot of them feel that they can't come forward and say like, look, I want to be a tarot reader, because it's still kind of frowned upon. There's still people that are like, oh no, you can't do that because you blah 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 did this, that, and the third. And I know a lot of people are looking at me like, oh well, like she's doing tarot. Some people might actually be like, oh, so is she a witch then? What is she like? They might have moved away from me as well because they don't believe in that, because they might have come from a different type of background. And so it's not even about, for me, it's about, now I'm not really bothered about that anymore. Now I'm a bit like, I know that this is my truth and this is something that I can do, and there's other things I can do. And it's something that now I've kind of exposed that part of myself. It's a bit difficult to come back from that. So if you now have opened yourself up to that side of, you know, spirituality, spiritual work, spiritual gifts, powers, those kind of things, it's a bit difficult to take that back because it's something that you always be able to do. And a lot of people don't realize that. But yeah, so I'd be careful if you really feel like, okay, do you know what, I'm mentally prepared to open myself up to that world, then I'd say, yeah, go for it. Because there are a lot of different characters you will come across in these types of situations, but you have to not be outplayed by that type of behavior. You can't what's the right word? You can't, as much as, you know, we all have like good intentions and we all have like the best intentions and we want people to do well, there are some people who just genuinely don't want others to do well, and that's just kind of how they're set up. And it's not even a thing of like, we can't say like, oh, you know, they're just a bad person or whatever, because at the end of the day, everyone has been sent here to do something, so they're just doing their part, right? I'm not saying it's right or wrong or whatever, because I have to read both ways, but it's not right or wrong. It's a thing of, at the end of the day, that's what they have to do for them, right? So, you know, if that's not your path, then just love and light, goodbye, whatever. And you know me already, I'm not really like all that whole everything positive vibes, because it's not positive. A lot of this shit is negative. It's very negative. There's hardly any positivity anymore. This is the problem, and this is why I've now gone back to that whole the whole love and light positivity, but with realism, because there's no point in being positive or negative. If you're going to be neutral, you might as well be real with it, okay? So if you're in a position and you're talking to someone about something and you have knowledge on it, then just share it, but don't say like, you know, this is what I would do. You really got to take that whole this is what I would do out, because then they're using you as a role model, or because they've come to you already, maybe they look up to you for advice. And if you're going to be like, this is what I would do, 9 times out of 10 that person will do what you said to do, and that might not be the right thing. So when you're advising people, you've really got to be like, look, okay, you got to read both ways. It can alternate as well, because if it's not one, then it's the other. So it can alternate, but you have to put it out there that is a potential as well. This is why when I read, I always say like, this could also be, or in addition to, or it can be a thing of, you know, when you see multiple scenarios, and it's not necessarily, because you got to see yourself as, okay, so you're one ball of energy, and then you've got inner circle, and then you've got a circle outside the inner circle, and that. So obviously, based off of who is in your energy, this is why when I read for people, it's difficult to read for someone who has like all these friends, all these people just mingling here, there, everywhere, blah blah blah. And it's cool that, you know, you have a lot of friends and stuff like that, but be prepared to know that their shit will come up in your energy, because you're around them so much. Because you're around this person so much, they actually just become part of your energy. And a lot of people don't realize this shit about energy. This is why it's important to keep up with spiritual hygiene, i.e., you should continue to do your cleansing in your home or whatever, burn your incense, sage, whatever, despite who it is that comes to your house. Because no matter who it is that comes to your house, sorry, sometimes I get my words mixed up, but I mean well, despite who it is, you still need to do that, because you don't know what that person's carrying. And as much as we all have good intentions, we all have secrets. So if you're in a vulnerable position, maybe one of my demons will stay with you. You know, I'm trying to keep it so real with you guys. That's literally what's happening. And the thing is, you guys are not seeing that. You don't see that. You don't think that, because you just think, oh, you know. And this is why a lot of the time when people have parties in their home, and there's people that are like friends of friends, it starts to become difficult because you, even though your friend is their friend and you're friends with your friend, obviously, their friend ain't your friend. So sometimes shame goes out the window. People don't really care. Like, they will deal with you differently. They will probably act differently around you. And let's not forget as well, yeah, you need to also understand that people are who they are by nature. So don't be that. For example, if I was a con artist, right, or if I was a thief or a scammer or con artist, or even if I was a police officer or whatever, right? So I'm not necessarily saying good or bad things, because that could be good or bad. Whatever people do is good or bad, right? A thief for one could be an amazing thing, but a thief for someone else who's rich, or a thief for someone else who is vulnerable, that's not necessarily a good thing. So you see, it's kind of about balance and karma. But if someone, and you know this person is a thief, don't deny that this person is not a thief because they don't steal from you. Okay? And don't take that out of the picture that they won't steal from you, because there might be a time that they are in that position to do that. So you've also got to see people for what they are. And when people tell you about themselves or tell you things about them, believe what they say. Literally just believe what they fucking say, because a lot of people, if you're quiet, and this is a thing that I've now realised, and what I've really been learning is, I talk a lot about certain things to people, but I don't allow myself to be in a position where I'm exposed like that. And it helps by the way that you formulate your sentences and how you talk. And I'm not necessarily saying grammar or whatever. We don't have to be like well spoken or perfect or anything, because none of us are. We're not perfect. But when you when you're neutral, like I've said, like now for me, I'm very neutral. It's this or that. So it is a thing of, you allow the person to have time to think about what it is that they want to do. Because if you're really someone that asks for, like, if someone comes to ask you for advice, that's when you become an advisor. So when you're an advisor, what are you actually there to do? Advise. She hasn't come and said, or he hasn't come to say to you like, oh, sometimes it's difficult when you have the what would you do question, because it's like, what would you do if, and then, you know, normally they explain everything and tell you just the whole scenario, and it's like, what would you do? You can't allow yourself to take responsibility for those things either. If you want to truthfully answer that question, you answer that question, but also ask questions. Also say, why would you ask that? What do you mean, what would I do? Why are you asking? Like, because sometimes you could be really cool with someone and then you don't know what that person is doing. You don't know, and you don't know what position that person is in. And that's why you've got to also be true with yourself about people and about their intentions. And most of the time we immediately know people's intentions, but the longer we allow ourselves to not see the red flags, or just continue to, it's like when people come, like when you see them, and especially when you're involved in like energy work like that, when you see them for what they are. You see them exactly how they are, what they are. You can see in their face, you can see in their eyes, you can see everything, right? You can tell, you can sense it. But if you allow that person to be in your energy long enough, then it's literally as if someone has done. Do you get what I'm saying? And then when it's too late, that's when the fog disappears. So that's what I have for you guys. I hope that helped someone, because I know that was a bit, but yeah, it was something that was kind of weighing on my chest, and I feel like now is the perfect time to get that out there. So any aspiring tarot readers and you feel a little bit like, literally just DM me. It's absolutely fine, because I'm getting told off as well that I need to be doing a bit more in terms of what I can do for like obviously my position. If you can help someone, then help them. And don't expect it to come back from that person.